Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Grand Arena Zone. We got Kin here, the professional. That's what I call him. Top player. What's your rank right now?
I believe I am ranked 20-something. 25, 27, 26, somewhere like that.
Very impressive. So when you see losses, don't hold it against him. He's still doing well overall. Unlike me, I have plummeted in rank. If you watched last episode, Kin did end up beating Zareth pretty handily. So great content creator there, but no match for Kin at the time. So yeah, we're going to be looking at some footage in 3v3 from the first week. We don't have data yet on stats, but when this comes out, you'll probably see some data. But here's some footage from high-level gameplay showing what is going on with Set 8.
Indeed. So before we start, now that you mentioned Dareth, I actually fought Dareth again this last round.
Oh, really?
And yeah, unfortunately for him, he lost again.
Okay.
Could have won though. It could have gone both ways.
Yeah.
And let's go on to one of the fights.
In the first one, I saw, because I watched some of that on Twitch.
Yeah.
Frustrated.
I think in this last fight, I dropped quite a few battles, like 3 or 4 of them. One of them you will see against his teams, but he just misjudged a counter and ended up not being able to clear.
Dang.
So my drop battles in the end didn't make that big of a difference.
Nice.
But he was very close to winning.
Sweet.
So here's the first one: JMK Cat General Kenobi versus Ray-Ban Cal, which I think in the stats we'll see is probably one of the ones with the most common 2 shots.
Yeah.
Because it depends on modding a little bit too. We'll see somewhat poor modding choices can do to this counter. But I think it's hard to beat with Lord Vader.
Yep.
Depending on the setup, I mean, certainly possible.
I learned that. As well, I don't know. Like the rate, I did it, and you can keep it rolling because there's not a ton to see. You're gonna annihilate Cal in a second when you get the chance. But the thing with Lord Vader is Cal just heals up everyone so much and just builds up their survivability so much. They have crit immunity to start, and I don't know. It just, I never got anywhere. And I had to just come in with my own JMK too. So what you saw there is the whirlwind on GK, and then Ben hit under the protection for only 60 some K. But Kin has him modded for protection and not health.
Indeed. So I think that is a great choice to mod your GK for protection, but definitely not in this counter. As you see there, it really, I don't know if it necessarily was the thing that lost me the match, but losing the tank and having whirlwinds go straight on Cat and GK as a problem. I thought at this point that I had a chance to win, but you'll see here shortly that, Ben still does a decent amount of damage and I just can't keep up.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a win when I was previewing it last night, but yeah, losing GK. When I did it, my GK didn't die, so I think that might have been the killer for you.
Yeah, because right here, there's a chance Ben went into damage immunity, so theoretically I could have stalled a little bit longer, because if GK would have eaten a whirlwind, then I had time to get around to him outside of damage immunity, but yeah, I don't know. And I do know that this counter can definitely be one-shot, because I also placed this team on defense, and one of my opponents one-shot it with what I'm assuming is JMK. I'll find out, I guess, in like 12 hours or something.
But what's tough here is so I think what you should have done there is when you killed Ben, pause the app, because he's gonna come back, and then just let it time out like that.
I never actually thought about the app pause. I've always tried to time it at the end of the fight.
Yeah, because there's no way around getting back to your turn.
Oh, well, today I learned something. I am no professional. I am no professional, Sanjita. You're the professional here. Wow, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, I mean, I
Mr.
hope that scenario doesn't pop up again, but, you know, if you only have your leader left, there's no way he's not coming back. But then you could have just
That's very
taken
true.
Geos.
Yeah, I
Um,
didn't know the whole pause thing was a thing. Okay.
yeah, so this one, that was a easy cleanup there. This next
Yeah.
one, Lando lead.
Yeah. I didn't go into this fight, I have to say, expecting that I would win necessarily. It's an R9 Afra. My datacron is not amazing. It has armor penetration, but
I think that was amazing. Was that 130% armor and 150% armor penetration?
yeah, I
I
mean,
think that's amazing.
it's okay, but it should have been crit damage because look, Afra is just sort of over there giggling. And at this point, I was like, well, the whole counter is done. I'm not even going to kill Afra.
Yeah.
We'll see that the only reason I killed Afra, in my opinion, is a little bit of luck. Right then,
Yeah.
Han
Oh.
should have, he should have killed, instead of going for Lando, should have gone for Chewie, and it would have been donezo. So really, in my perspective, this was lucky. The main thing I took away from it is Afra is still really, really good in threes with no datacron. Like, surprisingly so.
Yeah, I got a couple holds with mine first week, even against big opponents, so I think
Yeah,
Dash
easy
on
to
Chip is the way to
underestimate.
go.
I agree. I agree. I've had my dash on defense. So here, on the other hand, this is Finn, Zori, Resistance Han, Finn, which is a great, great team.
Yeah.
I've seen many failures against it. However, every single round I use this comp. It's a bit of expensive comp, like it's Star Killer.
Yeah.
But never came close to dying once. It's pretty easy. Like,
Are you sure that Palpatine looks pretty weak?
yeah, I mean, it's possible Palpatine could have died. This is the closest I got in any of my fights. And my opening was not the best. You should stun, stagger, and then basics, and you'll prevent 1 or 2 attacks.
I beat them with a Maul, and that worked pretty well because he puts buff immunity on with his shout.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Clever,
they
that's a good
recovered a
one.
lot of protection with Bow in there. But yeah, that's definitely a scary team. I also Wampa'd it when it was in OG Poe and Zori, which was interesting.
Okay.
But this
I
one's
was curious,
super interesting.
yeah,
Sorry,
this is one that. No, it's a good fight. I actually had never tried or seen this myself. They do have some stats on GG, but it's using Cassian instead of SRP there. I didn't have Cassian since I'd used him in a Mon Mothma. I actually used him with Mon Mothma to clean up the 2 droids there from the Afra team earlier.
Gotcha.
Pretty easy.
Yeah,
but
so
here... No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I did the same thing, but I did use Cassian just because I saw it on .gg and it worked. And there was only 7 instances of it, but I was like, I guess they just get exposed and are stupid and go after Jin. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and really, in general, Raddus is pretty tanky too. So I think unless he gets focused down by every single attack, eventually he'll get to his ult, like here, and then it's an easy 57.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It was a nice fight. This is another fight actually that I think I wasn't sure if it would be overkill necessarily, but I don't think I'd ever fought, even when there was no Santa Datacron, but they had like the Scoundrel Datacron. I'd never fought this particular comp before. And in the end, like, not amazing banners, but sort of lucky win maybe. Like, could have killed potentially
Maybe
Anakin, but I think Cam would have cleaned them up anyway.
Yeah.
Like, he's pretty beefy. They don't gain foresight or anything. So this was my first Riva fight with the Triumvirate after the patch. The only time in 3v3 when they changed the Treya and Riva interaction
get
with
death marked.
Yeah, exactly. So this fight, I did. Well, I'll spoil a surprise. I won this fight, but you'll see it is pretty close.
Yeah.
Like if it had been, I don't know, probably GI if he put Torture on at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, this is not the optimal lineup at all.
No.
I like eighth in there.
I didn't try this again. Yeah, I think from an Inquisitor perspective, they just do that so they can keep two teams effectively. They can put GI with a team.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't ever try just Treya, Sion, and Dian again against Reva because I faced her every round.
Well, I mean, it worked out that time. Okay, so now we got JKL, JML, Mace against Malgus. So I'm interested to see this.
Yeah, this was actually a bit of a iffy fight for me. I had dropped, I think this actually was my fight against Xerath. I had dropped one or two fights already, and that's one or two too many because I was fighting Xerath, so I knew he would be a good match. And I know that JML lead can beat Malgus here, and I've seen it quite a few times, and there's quite a few stats on it. But usually the banners are not too good, and it's not. I don't think there's anything over 90%. It's around 85 or something like that.
Yeah, I've proved that in my own match.
But I did see, I think, one or two JKL leads, and like conceptually, it's pretty nice because you get the actual speed down. Well, not speed down, speed equalization, whatever, on Malgus, and that slows down a ton of the threat of the team because it's his little jumpy, whatever, I forget what that move is called, but it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I thought, a little hop, stab you in the face sort of thing. So I thought I'd give this a try, and I threw Mace in there for the Shatterpoint health reduction, and tried to see how it went. I felt pretty confident I would get down the sides, no problem. And then you'll see here I was pretty sure that I would win.
Yeah.
But this fight goes on for a while.
Yeah, and you fell into kind of the same issue that I did, but using JML lead is when he gets debuffed, he's healing himself back up. So there's a lot of debuffs going out here. Like JML has a buff immunity on his basic. Jedi Luke is the saving grace because he doesn't have anything on his basic, and he does extra damage against tanks. But I kept calling Jedi that had debuffs on their basics, and that was the only thing. I almost got him down, but I just couldn't. But also here, what you have better is shatter points, reducing the health and defense, I think, or armor. I think just defense.
I think defense,
But yeah, but you get him really close a couple times, but then just heal him up with debuffs. Like that.
Yeah, I was definitely overly paranoid here because I didn't want him to get off one of his big moves.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I should have realized that as I was hitting him, I'm reducing his health quite a bit. So his actual big move, jump you in the face thing, is really not going to do that much damage anymore. Yeah. It's based off of his health. But at the time I was fighting, I didn't want to lose banners essentially, which you'll see here. I'm going to fast forward a little bit because this fight goes on a while. You'll see here about 1.5 minutes. I don't know if you remembered one of our last videos, Samgita. You made an astute observation that Samgita.
It's like a J.
I'm sorry.
Oh, good.
Samgita. Oh man, I may be a professional at GAC, but not at talking. So you made a good observation last time. that had I turned on auto, I might have won the battle. So in this moment, in real time, when I was playing that fight, I was like, huh, that was a good point. So in that case,
that
I
worked
did
out.
win the battle. Yeah, thank you.
Sometimes you just need the speed.
That's for sure. This is another battle here where actually I turn on auto pretty soon in the fight.
To me, this seems like an overkill counter.
Totally. This is in the same fight, I think, against Zareth, where I didn't want to drop any battles, and I was more concerned with getting not 54 than I was, I was more concerned with like losing the fight. I didn't want there to be any chance of a loss, or a timeout was actually my concern, because this is like the 2-tank version that has quite a bit of healing.
Yeah, it's true.
So I think in a normal situation, I wouldn't have thrown Talon in there. Like, she doesn't really do much. And I don't think it's in this. Yeah, I don't think I used the datacron in this fight. But the best datacron for this, and I think Savage can easily solo it, is give him the dark side 2 buffs, 5% offense.
Yeah,
he takes a bazillion turns and has buffed like crazy.
Yeah, but in practice, I think that is actually kind of an overrated level 3. It's super slow. I tried the same thing myself to stack up, and it seemed like it was a turtle. Like, it was just
For
slow as
Savage?
molasses. For Savage, I had to use him against. It was one of my last ditch attempts to take out Malgus, and it is Malgus, but like just watching the numbers, it was so slow. It didn't really.
Fair enough.
Yeah, if it was like per buff you're getting it, then yeah. But it's every turn 5%. It's still 10 turns to get just the equivalent of offense up. So.
That's true, but my main reason. That's a good point. I think it's very fight dependent. But in a fight like this, where you have 3 targets attacking all at the same time, multiple times, Savage takes so many turns. I think it would have
I still
worked out
think
great.
you needed the extras. I don't think that solo would have worked, even with that level 3.
Probably not. Probably.
So
not.
I think you made the right call in real time.
Thank you. This is actually, I've done this counter even last season. I did this a few times, but anybody who places Savage on defense without Malik, I think this is like a 99 point something percent.
Yeah.
Counter. It's really a shame to lose your Savage so easily.
Yeah, they have his number. Yeah. I took my Savage to R6 because I got frustrated. He doesn't seem intimidating anymore. I want to get him to 7, but it'll take some time, and I might start keeping him on offense because with Treya he'd help too instead of like Scion in some cases. Have a pre-taunt because they got wrecked by Malgus too, because he just jumped right on Nihilus because Scion wasn't taunting.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great trio, and you can also put Savage. I think it's Savage. To be honest, I forgot. There's in 3s. There's a nice trio with Savage. Well, Sith Eternal as the leader, Savage, and I think it's Talon. It might be. Treya, actually. The Treya version is super expensive. But I don't even think SLK solo can beat the Savage C. I think it's Talon to add in there for the ability blocks. I don't think SLK can beat that one.
Yeah, I actually,
pretty cool.
A few seasons ago, I think I did solo that, but I was in ignorance, and I looked later, and the percentage was like 27%. But I used True Solo, almost died, but I just had a really good datacron for him. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good lineup for 3s.
Yeah, it's quite powerful. Savage is a great character, very flexible. So here is talking about Malik, or Malgus rather. This is Malgus. In 3s, I really like Malgus on offense. Mostly for this counter, because in well, let's say in the ranks that I play, a lot of people place their JML on defense, and I might be able to auto this battle. I don't know, but I've never lost this battle in threes, even when. Well, Malgus wasn't around when JML had his datacron, but even when he had like a really good protection datacron, this is always a pretty easy fight, no matter what the sides are for
Do you
JML.
see JML on defense a lot?
It's pretty common, yeah. I would
I've hardly
say
ever
more than
seen
a
that.
half.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, technically he is a bit more difficult in threes than in fives. Well, especially now that you can't trooper in fives, but in threes he's definitely not bad because you have to sort of have a GL tier team to take him out. And I think in the top 100-ish, so many people have teams that are sort of better than him, like Zori, Finn Zori, you know, for instance, or you know, one of the Seer teams, or like newer characters essentially, where JML has sort of been figured out, where they, even if it takes a more difficult team, like there's no real complexity or unknown about them. So, and he's not great on offense in threes either.
Yep, I have learned that myself.
Yeah, it's that he's sort of like my cleanup GL. Sort of.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Feels sad to say, but it is what it is. For a couple of seasons, I could use him as a solo GL versus some teams, but I think that stopped like probably 3 or 4 3v3 seasons ago.
Yeah.
I forget what character. Oh yeah, it's around. I think was Starkiller like 8 or 9 months ago or longer. Starkiller was longer.
Starkiller came out a year and a half ago.
Okay. Well, maybe it's when all the Starkiller marquees started becoming 7-star and reasonably relict.
Yeah.
Feels like it was about that time frame, because suddenly JML couldn't clean.
I do feel good with JML against JMK. I mean, I guess that is kind of like dependent on how beefy their cat is, but I feel good with him, Yoda, and Revan, and just keeping Foresight on Yoda. It usually works pretty well, but I don't see JMK on defense really right now.
Yeah, I haven't actually tried that setup on in threes, but I only saw JMK on defense in the last 2 seasons, I think, 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
very rare.
I think the trick with JML against JMK, you want to start with the first special on like in threes on like GK, or in 5v5 maybe like Padme, just someone that's not, because you don't want to increase JMK's cooldowns, you don't want to increase Cat's cooldowns, you want them to waste that Annihilate on JML and then get going. The AoE is kind of useless at the beginning. You don't get turn meter, you don't want to ability block them. Oh, this one's what I wanted to see too.
Yeah, so talking about Savage, it makes it so much easier here. All the additional stats that Treya is getting, like the boost that Savage gives out, especially the turn meter from Savage being hit.
Yeah. Because
you'll see it goes through so much faster, and he's putting out a lot of damage too.
Yeah, that's a lot.
137k on a basic.
Yeah, I think he might replace Scion for me.
Yeah, I ran this counter one other time, and it was equally as smooth.
Wow, that's a big damage. Shoot.
I do have an R9 Savage, but he is modded purely for tanky stats. He has no offense at all, and it was not an offensive datacron either.
Wow. Good to know.
Yeah. I think that's really the go-to for Riva.
Yeah.
This was actually another counter that they didn't have any stats on. They had some stats on Raddus versus Shorty with the datacron, but they had no stats on this particular trio. like never a single fight.
Yeah, probably because no one likes to use IG-88.
Yeah, most likely. I assumed it would be relatively safe as soon as I got down the first spare parts off of Shorty, because the buff immunity just shuts her down.
Yeah, true.
In the end, though, I think I. No, go ahead.
You think you what?
I think I killed the sides before before she lost her spare parts, even though I was not trying to.
Yeah, it was interesting how the exposes interacted with her, because each expose you popped gave her more protection up too. So she had like 9 exposes at the beginning, but it did nothing. And there you go.
It is quite satisfying, actually. In 3s, his nuke seems to do relatively so much more damage than in 5s. Not actually true, but I think just usually there's not as many tanky characters. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I might start keeping him on offense, because he's pretty cheesy.
And there's very little RNG involved. It's like just live until his ult and then kill the team.
He's super tanky. Jin can't die, and then she can just bring someone back.
Yep. So here's another. This actually, if you take Bad Batch versus this team, I misplayed this pretty badly, by the way. Mando should never have died. If you bring Bad Batch against this team, you can win, but it's like a 60 or 70% chance, because Malik screws it up a bit.
Yeah. But I find it interesting what you did here with Cad Bane.
Okay, the misplay, or
no? Maybe you didn't bring him in for the same reason that I thought. So, like on his stun glove, he reduces the max health by 25% if they're debuffed. And Savage always has vulnerable, so you were reducing Savage's max health all the way down. And I think it all came down to the annihilates anyway. But I thought that's what you were going for.
No, I was going for the fact that he double taps on basic, so faster to contract when he's called to assist.
Yeah.
And his stun glove dispels without letting Savage regain resilient defense. So it's like you have to time it correctly. Terrible, horrible misplay. Like you have to time it when Talon is exposed so you can get to contract.
Yeah.
And I messed that up. But here you can see, like, you dispel it, and Savage doesn't have his contact resilient defense.
Yeah.
So this fight should have been like a 2-minute fight, maybe.
But you already used Fennec?
No, I had Fennec available, but I don't like Fennec for this.
Because I would have just thought you'd have Fennec to call for an assist to get 5 hits, if that was your thinking. Because there are plenty of times you got to call the assist on Talon. And if it was Fennec instead of Cad, I don't know, it worked out anyway.
Yeah. I was thinking mostly, for some reason I think I was thinking she gave 3 hits, not 5. In my head I was like, well, she only gives 1 more hit than Cad. But no, you're right, it is 5. I think the stats for Fennec are not great, though, in this matchup. I think it's also because she sort of has to always give 5 hits, and that really beefs up Savage, or gives him a lot more turns. And, yeah, she basically just hits until she can avoid taunt, but until then, she can't sort of like skip a Savage turn by dispelling.
Yeah. I would have thought you would have annihilated Malik first.
I was more afraid of the Savage stacking, and just with Malik, like, I'm always going to regain more health than to be over 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that worked. I was kind of skeptical when I when I saw this, but because of Cad Bane, but
I have to say, I think this is the first time I've used Cad Bane in. Well, I use him in fleets all the time, obviously, but in ground combat, and I don't know. It's been a long time.
right,
It's sort of satisfying.
crazy. Is that the last one? I think.
I think there might be. That might actually be the last one. Yep, that is the end of the fight. So there we go.
Yeah, well, good matches. Great to see. I'm looking forward to having data, like actually on Swigga.gg for
same.
this set, because everything is there's so much set 6 noise in it that you have to parse out, and I got so used to set 6, and I had my stash of it. I knew how to use it. It's hard to transition away.
Yeah, the tough part too, and I noticed this especially in the higher end, is with the mess up with the datacrons they did, not having them available in the datacron store. They corrected it by giving whales the opportunity. Yeah. So many of the players, I'm not saying that I'm innocent either, but so many of the players in the top few hundreds, basically, anybody who spends a lot of their currency or crystals, has a huge store of datacrons compared to what is normal at the beginning of the season for the first week.
Yeah, it's just it would refresh every 6 hours as opposed to once every week. So it's 28 times more access than you had before.
Yeah.
So like everyone I faced, I like pulled up their set, and it was like still within the first week of Conquest, and it's just they have 2 full rows of level 9s, and I'm like, okay, well I got 3. Towards the end of Conquest, I just leveled up a bunch to level 3 because I want to have at least something. I have like 7 or 8 that are level 8 and above, which it's fine now. I had less going into week 1, but I don't like set 8. It's not as useful for me. I don't have Tuskens, and I don't have a lot of the Ufus that make it good, like Cal. I don't have Seer, and there's someone else I was thinking of. But yeah, it's just I don't have Riva. Yeah, the biggest one. So kind of rough.
Yeah, it definitely
me
makes it a bit complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I love set 8. I have to say that I'm less of a fan in 3s, or it's not as powerful as set 6 in 3s for sure. But it doesn't seem as impactful.
Yeah.
Not quite as strong. There's less tanky stats than set 6, like no defense, no health.
Yeah.
Which doesn't seem to make sense.
So there's like probably 3 good stats in it, or like 3 really good, one that's kind of good. So protection's really good, crit damage is pretty good. There's a third one that I'm forgetting. I know health steal is like okay. What are the stats on set 8? The other ones? I know there's accuracy and crit chance.
And protection you get as well, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I said protection. Protection and crit damage are really good.
Accuracy, critical chance, critical avoidance you get.
Crit avoidance. Yeah, that's another decent one. But like, if for like the spenders, they can re-roll as many times as they want to get the few good stats. But so this set is not underdog friendly because it's only a couple good stats and you need to hit them. So that was the same with like set 4. It was like you want to dodge, and that's pretty much it. But for like set 5, set 6, and kind of set 7, all the stats, most of the stats are pretty good. There's a lot of good stats. So no matter what you roll up to with 8, you're gonna find something useful. But like I can't re-roll a million times. I just can't use the resources for it, so I just get a bunch of like crap datacrons, like accuracy and crit chance. And the crit chance like numbers they give too are just pitiful. Like like you can get a datacron level 1 or 2 stat that's like 1% crit chance. Like
it's pitiful.
What I started doing is I roll a datacron to level 1 because it only costs 50k data cache, and then if it's accuracy or crit chance, I just dismantle it, and I get 25k data cache back. So that way, at least I can try to ensure I have a good level 1 stat, because everything else is kind of increasing costs, like spiraling out of control. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I hate this set.
Well, I have the same method of rolling datacrons, at least with level 1. I throw away most of mine at level 1, because I also throw away crit void. I'm not saying it's a bad stat, but
Yeah.
I feel that I have to farm so much on the level 1, the zone 1 anyway, for credit cache, you know, that I'm going to get so many extra datacrons in the end that I really, eventually I'll get ones with crit void accidentally because they roll in level 7, level 8.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you do end up with a pretty big pile of just level 0s eventually. Yeah. Anyway, this was a great. Dang, my alarms keep going off. It was a great video. Thanks for the footage, Ken. It was really great to see, and good luck next week.
Thank you. I might pronounce your name correctly, and I'm looking forward to what else I learn.
That's all right. And guys, if you want more Ken, check out his channel, Grand Arena Science. I'll try to keep it. Try to remember to put a link in the description. But anyway, just Google or just search Grand Arena Science, and you'll find more of Ken. A lot of great synopsis there. All right. Well, see you guys later. Thanks, Ken.